Hi, this is episode 15 of Rory's Table Tennis Topics. And as usual, we've got a couple of new guests. I've got myself and my co-host, Brett Holt, and we've got Pedro Santos and Brandon Bennett, both from Brighton Table Tennis Club, both coaches and players. And we've got three topics today, but first of all, I'm going to get Pedro and Brandon to give us a bit of background about their table tennis careers, how they got into it, what they're doing now. So Pedro, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, thanks, Rory. So my name is Pedro. I've been head coach and assistant director of Brighton Table Tennis Club for the last 6 years, I believe. Before that, I was in Portugal. I played at a reasonable standard in junior whilst in Portugal. And then decided to have a little break from table tennis for studies. Once I came to the UK, the opportunity presented itself to start working full time in table tennis, and gotta say that I love it. Yeah.
Nice one. And Brandon, give us a bit of an introduction.
Hi there. I'm Brandon. So I started table tennis when I was 14, so quite late, I would say. Over the years, I've been playing with the Brighton Table Tennis Club. At the start of 2016, I started working for the club for the last 4 years, progressing my skills in coaching and in playing table tennis, getting my level 1 and 2 coaching. Recently, I've taken a break in coaching, so to maybe take a new path, to try new things and to live life in more of an adulthood. But yeah.
So you're not doing coaching at the moment then, Brendan?
I'm doing a couple of coaching, but just not full time now.
You got another job then?
Yes.
Okay. Pedro, have you got the level 3, or you're doing level 3?
No, I've got it.
You got level 3.
Already finished it. Passed with distinction. There we go.
Yeah, really good.
But yeah, hold on. Well, just before lockdown, so we were actually quite lucky. The people that are doing this year, not so lucky, unfortunately.
No.
But yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3 topics today, and the first one is basically the club programs of each of the different clubs. So I'm going to speak on behalf of my club, Horsham Spinners. Brett is going to talk about Crawley Community Table Tennis Club and Haywards Heath Table Tennis League, which is kind of a league, but they kind of operate almost as a club as well. I've written out my schedule, and I'm including all the sessions that I do, whether or not they feed into my actual club sessions, just because, to kind of, it's all under the same umbrella of the club. So this is obviously before lockdown, before COVID happened, because a lot of these sessions are none of the school check sessions are happening at the moment, for example. So on Mondays, my first session was at after school club at Mill Primary School in Crawley for an hour, 3 to 4. And then I have a 5 to 7 p.m. Group coaching session, open session in Horsham Spinners Table Tennis Club, which is Slinfold Primary School, or at least it was. And then after that, I would have had a 2-hour 1 to 3 coaching session. So 3 adults came along and did a session for 2 hours with them, kind of me 1-to-1 while the other 2 practice on the other table. Then on Tuesdays, I would have a morning before school club at the Oak School in Crawley for just under an hour. And then lunchtime clubs, Farlington School near Horsham, I did a half an hour with the primary school and then a half an hour with the secondary school. Then I would normally have had a 1-to-1 with an adult at the Bridge Leisure Centre. And then later on, after school, 3 to 4, after school club at Slinfold Primary School. And then straight after that, I had my BeTT session, which was 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. and was a free session for under 11s. That was followed by the TT Kids session, which is 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. for 7 to 11-year-olds, and that was £35 for an 8-week course. Plus they also got bats, balls, t-shirt, activity book, kit bag. And then on Wednesdays, I had an after-school club at the Weald School in Billingshurst. And then 2 hours at my Horsham Spinners club, again in Slinfold Primary School. And then Thursday morning before school club, Langley Green for an hour in Crawley again. And then after school, another school in Crawley, Bewbush Academy for another hour. And then 5 to 7, I was usually doing one-to-ones with 2 adults. And then we had our league matches, home nights on Thursdays. So Premier Division playing a K2 from 7:30 to 10 o'clock. And all the Division 1 teams, we had 4 Division 1 teams. And they were playing at Farlington School, same time as the Premier. And then Fridays, morning before school club at Gleeblands in Cranley for an hour. And then after school club, again, 3 to 4 p.m. and for an hour in Seymour School, again in Crawley. So a lot of my after school or before school clubs are in Crawley. And then 5 to 7 p.m. again, I had Horsham Spinners table tennis club coaching session at Slinfold Primary School. And obviously the one-to-ones can vary. That was a typical week. And I didn't at that time have a practice session, an open practice session, because I didn't have a lot of interest in it. But at the moment I am doing an open practice session on Thursdays, 8 to 10. So at the moment, after, lockdown and so on, when we reopened in end of July. So at the moment, all I'm doing is the 5 to 7 p.m. coaching sessions on Mondays and Fridays. I've still got the BeTT and the TT Kids session on Tuesdays, 4:30 to 6:30. And I'm doing the one-to-ones and practice session Thursdays, 8 to 10. So that's literally all I'm doing at the moment. So I'm doing about 8 hours a week. So all the school stuff is all gone, all the league matches. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm doing an internal league on Mondays, which is 8 to about 10:30 on a Monday. And all our sessions are now at Slinfold Village Hall because of all school bookings not being allowed. So that's the Horsham Spinners sessions before lockdown and after lockdown. So I'm going to go to Pedro to give us a breakdown. I know they do a lot of stuff and they've got different venues, and so he's going to give us a breakdown of what Brighton is doing.
Yeah, so I divided a little bit like you, Rory, prior lockdown, after lockdown, but luckily, I mean, we were quite a proactive club. We have a great members of staff. So during lockdown, we did what we could for our members as well. So I included that a little bit in our program. So prior to lockdown, I mean, Brandon knows this as well. We were having 35 sessions at the club, 35 outreach sessions, all them divided. So in all comers, so be open sessions for everybody to come and play, regardless standard or age or just anybody interested in the game. 50 plus after school club, under 16s, under 13s, under 11s. Then we have our performance part, so our seniors and our juniors. Sessions for learning disability, a performance learning disability session, which obviously our players with Down syndrome are included, plus some others. And for the last 5 years, I believe, we work with a pupil referral unit, and as well with the travelers community. So we had those sessions happening in the club. Now, obviously, since lockdown, the pupil referral unit has restarted, which is great. The learning disability restarted as well just a couple of weeks ago, when everybody felt that we're providing a safe environment to carry on with those sessions. We tried to restart with a travelers community, with no success yet, but we still trying to get that going. And related to outreach, we work in several psychiatric hospitals, homeless centers, immigration center, a dementia home that Brandon did very, very successfully. Receive a lot of great feedback from Brandon in those sessions, which is great. And of course the prisons project. That is something that has been going for a couple of years. Has stopped now. Again, one of the outreach that had to stop due to the restrictions, because we're not allowed to.
So, I mean, it sounds like you've got 35 hours of coaching sessions or whatever sessions they are at your actual club base per week, and another 35 hours outside the club. So that's basically
5 hours. Some of the sessions are actually 2 hours. So that would increase maybe around 70, well, let's say 60 hours a week just in club.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then outreach usually 1-2 hours as well. It's very depending on the partnerships that we have, depending on the timetable that those places have as well, the availability. But it was a lot of hours, yeah.
So it sounds like the club is basically almost open, all day long, Monday to Friday, or is it Sunday and Saturday and Sunday as well?
So yeah, 7 days a week. Before lockdown, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Yeah. The occasional break of 1 hour or 2 hours during the day.
7 days, that is.
7 days. 7 days a week, yeah. Yeah.
How many hours do you personally do of coaching or supervising sessions or whatever?
35 hours. 35 hours a week.
And does that include weekends, or is that mainly during the week, or
is mainly during the week. So again, the timetable changed a little bit now after COVID. So before that, the weekends obviously were spent in tournaments. Yeah. So I'll be working during the week in the club, one day off, and I would have the weekends off when there was no tournaments. And then compensate those hours with one-to-ones, admin work. Also have quite a bit of admin work to do. And yeah.
So do you get a salary as in the same amount every month, or depends how many hours you do, or you get different pays for different hours you do, or how does that work?
So yeah, we all send a timesheet at the end of the month. So we keep track of our hours. We have a timetable. We use Google Calendar. So we can then check if everybody did the sessions, or if there was any canceled sessions and so on. But yeah, we send a timesheet at the end of the month. Yeah.
And do you get the same rate no matter what you're doing, whether it's one-to-one or group or after school club or whatever?
Yeah,
you do. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's completely different. I mean, I'm self-employed, so if I'm doing a one-to-one session with an adult, it's £25 an hour. If it's with a junior, I charge £20 an hour. If I'm going into school clubs, it really depends on how many kids I get. The more kids I get, the more I get per hour. So the kids are paying £3 a session. Obviously, they pay in advance at the beginning of term, so that I don't just turn up and have 2 or 3 kids and not actually, earn anything.
Yeah, I mean, we work a little bit the same with the after-school clubs. Everybody pay by term. Yeah. So we check how many sessions is that.
Yeah.
They pay £5 per session, something like that. And of course, if they miss a session or something, then yeah, we always have that. We can be quite flexible. Obviously, the ethos of our club, we want to work with players, with children mainly, that wouldn't have the same opportunity to access this sport. So some of them they have discounts. They're supported by their carers or social services, or that's something that we can talk about later. That I think is quite important to build partnerships and relationships. So you can't be a club trying to establish their place in the community on their own. That will never going to happen. You really need to work together with all the other organizations that with the same exact goal, and just work from there. Yeah, and everybody's really keen to help each other.
Yeah. And with my actual club sessions, again, it depends on the numbers of people I get. That's the club sessions are actually the ones I get the least for, because I've got to pay for the venue, and the venue is not particularly big, so we can only fit a certain amount of people in. So all my sessions really depend on the number of kids and what session it is.
We're very fortunate that we have a full-time venue. We made this lease with the St. John the Baptist Church, so they have that space, completely empty. It was a complete mess when we first came in. It was rotting from one corner to the other. We managed to get a big grant from Sports England and a little bit from Table Tennis England to refurbish the place, so we could start doing the work that we're doing at the moment. And now, after lockdown, because obviously a lot of our outreach had to stop, and we still want to try to reach as many people from around Brighton and Hove as we can. So we made a collaboration with other organizations that are not really table tennis, with one martial arts, gig buddies, the running club, that also looking for another venue, and we did exactly the same. There's especially churches, I think, is something worth to look at, because many of them they have some spaces that are not being used, and rather than selling to private investors, it can be used for local organizations to do their community work.
So
they're always very keen.
Good idea for clubs to look out for venues,
absolutely,
in churches or village halls that are not being used to their capacity, and especially if they're just not being used at all, and then see if they can.
You negotiate the price. I mean, everybody's quite understanding with the situation at the moment. With the difficult situation that everybody is going through. So we got this new venue in Stafford Avenue. And another one, hopefully, that is going to start soon in the Hope Methodist Church in Portland Road.
You've got Molescombe Primary School. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, Molescombe Primary School. We're also there, but that's more of an outreach session. So we work inside the school hours in there.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting because we're going to run a camp now during this week that has several activities. So football, table tennis, martial arts, capoeira. So again, all these organizations we link together, and to provide the pupils from Molescombe Primary School to get more access to all different sports. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So anything else to add before going to Brandon, Pedro, or?
No, I think Brandon could talk about the work we did during lockdown, because he was quite active on our Zoom stuff.
Yeah, and if you also, Brandon, tell us what sessions you personally were coaching before a lockdown, and maybe what you're doing now as well.
Yeah. So before lockdown, I was, of course, I was working at the Brighton TT Club full time. I was mainly doing more outreach sessions. So I was mainly going around. So as Pedro said, I was at a dementia home that, honestly, is one of my favorite sessions. It was. I built a massive relationship with them, and
did they remember you when you came back, or
and as time went on, you get that regular pattern, and they'd be like, oh, table tennis and this and that, and we had regular people turn up at the same time, waiting to play table tennis,
Did you find that they actually improved their skills, or did you have to start from scratch every time?
Oh yeah. There were a couple of them, their coordination, were a bit, and, especially their balance, we got to figure out ways, to not only make it fun for them, but, safe as possible for them. And, as time went on, my skills in coaching massively grew quickly. And so I adapted to different things, instead of playing normal, we played rolling on the table, under the net, just to help with their coordination.
Was that just a couple of hours a week or an hour a week? Or what was
So that was about an hour and a half a day. So what we normally do at
every day, 5 days a week?
No, only on Mondays at Brookmead.
Right.
So we normally we played about 20 minutes to half an hour playing, and then we sat down and we had tea or coffee with some biscuits, and then whoever wants to play after, can play. We had one or two ladies. We had one lady whose her energy is she could go on all day, all night, playing table tennis. She wouldn't want to stop playing this and that. So we had some expectations. If there's me and like a volunteer with me or another coach with me, we can be like, yeah, you can keep playing. So there's always one person playing and there's one person also sitting down with the others.
So besides that session, what other sessions were you involved with?
I was doing other sessions, I was in the Clock Tower Sanctuary, so young people are homeless. I did that for an hour a week. I did different primary schools. So that roughly went on for an hour or two again. So
after school or before school or lunchtime?
Both. I did breakfast club. I did after school club. There was one or twice. I went into schools during the day. We did exhibition matches or little games with them during the day.
Any one-to-ones?
Pardon?
One-to-ones? Have you done any one-to-ones, Brandon? Or have we lost you?
Yeah. So during the week,
We're a bit slow there.
He's on a bit of a go slow.
With different ages, abilities, genders. Some of them were an hour, some of them were an hour and a half. But sometimes, I tried to have regular members, so so you can fit times during my other sessions. I did other sessions, go up to the prison sessions, so up to High Down and Downview.
How was that?
That was at first it was a bit scary,
Yeah.
I started when I was 18, so I went in at 18, coming in, you're seeing these big, massive guys, this and that. But as soon as you go in there, you feel welcomed. The atmosphere is amazing, and they're also nice, and they want to talk. They actually are really keen to learn and to play, and especially before lockdown, we was doing we were getting into level 1 coaching. We created a thing called if Pedro, do you want to explain the level 1 community coaching thing?
Yeah, so it was a way of integrate the the prisoners once they would come out of the institution, because obviously it's quite difficult for them to find any work, especially if it's in sports, with the DBS checks, safeguarding, and so on. So we decided to provide some coaching qualifications. Like Brandon said, they're really super keen to learn. It's like running a performance session. Sorry?
Did they Table Tennis England agree with that, or were they?
Again, Rory, some of these things are delicate subjects. But no, we didn't have much support of Table Tennis England. Obviously, it was a risky project, a risky idea. We did have two that came to volunteer to the club. Obviously, they would never run sessions on their own, even a level 1 coaching course.
And presumably, these are just they're not like mass murder.
Different felonies. And nothing related to, again, safeguarding of children or most vulnerable people. But having those qualifications, they could then come back to wherever they're from, find a local place, and even just starting on a volunteer basis, and from there reintegrate in the society. That's really what we were looking with it, and we had two very successful ones that came to volunteer to the club. and eventually, you know, they spread their wings, and now they're working. And
how did the members approach these kind of prisoners who were helping with coaching? Did they interact well with them, or no problems?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's someone like you or me or Brandon. You know, it doesn't really matter the mistakes that they did in the past. If you can see there is someone that is willing to work, is willing to help, why not?
Good.
Yeah, and they integrated really well. I mean, one of them was really funny, so actually worked well with the sessions. Yeah, lots of banter and yeah.
Good. Really anything else to add, Brandon, before we move on to Brett?
Just with the prison, you know, what just made it absolutely amazing was just as you walk into the sports hall, you just see their faces and how smart, because, you know, not only, you know, they're getting coached and they're really keen, but they're seeing people, you know, they're seeing different people, and, you know, they can actually and it's just a way of socializing, you know. And one thing, you know, it's like, and, you know, but
have that contact.
But now
with
I've
the
took it a step
world.
back now.
So what are you doing now?
So during lockdown. Just during lockdown, I was playing like 5 hours a day during lockdown, outside in the hot weather, outside a club, with different people, you know, with their health and safety guidelines, of course, with the COVID and this and that. And just seeing people's faces getting back into sport, you know, while playing outside, you know, it may just seem, you know, an hour playing, but I think it made a real big difference, especially while playing. So I got a few I got a couple of tans, you know, maybe a few burnt spots over time. I think Pedro may know that one burn on my neck, what was pretty nasty, but So right now, but right now I'm only actually doing one session, and that's with Sussex University. I am during lockdown. You know, I had such a good bond with them. They stayed in contact with me during lockdown. They were telling me, you know, right, this is going to happen, this and that, and I was also helping with them, you know, to help promote the stuff, you know, ideas how to promote the table tennis.
At Brighton University,
and,
yeah.
Sussex University.
I thought it
Sussex.
Yeah, I thought it might be Sussex University. So I used to do that a couple of sessions a week there, and I think then Pedro took it over. Is that right, Pedro?
Yeah.
And now Brandon's doing it. Okay, good. Brett.
Now I've taken over.
Yeah. Brett, do you want to give us a rundown? I know there's not as much going on in Haywards Heath in terms of the weekly sessions. Do you want to do Haywards Heath first, because it should be a quick one?
Yeah, I mean, before lockdown, Haywards Heath was running a Sunday junior session we had, and then we had an adult open practice on the Sunday afternoons. And then we also had an outreach session at the time at the local leisure centre on a Monday evening, which was designed originally for our British League team, you know, to train and practice. But then, you know, I came on board and I said to everyone, I said, look, you know, we've got to open it up to all. And then it started to become really, really popular, which was really good with Haywards Heath. Then we went into lockdown and everything just, you know, ceased, completely ended.
And you had your league matches on Wednesdays. Don't forget them as well.
Yes. We always had league matches on a Wednesday. But now, since restarting, we have managed to move our Monday night practice, now open to all, into our home venue at Warden Park in Haywards Heath. And that's run 8 till 10 on a Monday. And that's, well, it's open to all, but it's more, you know, geared up towards the higher level practice, which is
and you know, you're one of the few leagues in the country that have started.
Running, yes.
Yeah, and Brandon and I are both playing in it. I think we're playing each other on Wednesday. Is that right, Brandon?
Just get ready to lose, Rory. Get ready to lose.
Yeah, 100%. But yes. But now we've got our Monday sessions. We have our Wednesday night league night, which we now run a 3 versus 3 you know, format just without doubles now. And that's going really, really successfully. Everything is running, you know, as we're expecting it, and we're managing this outbreak as best as possible. And then on Sundays now, we've restarted. We're starting to restart our junior session on a Sunday evening, which is now starting to build back up. The juniors are starting to come in, you know.
I know you get huge numbers on a Sunday. You've got, I don't know, what, 30, 40 people in the hall normally before lockdown?
Yeah, on average. I mean, normally on a Sunday, we would normally run between 10 tables, I would have said.
20 people plus coaches.
You know, and we would normally hit, on average, before lockdown, around 35, 40 people at Haywards Heath on a Sunday afternoon. You know, for general practice plus juniors.
And quick question: is there no like school sessions going on? Is there an after-school club at Warden Park? You know, before lockdown?
No. The school does run something though, and you know, I've when I came on board and joined the committee at Haywards Heath, I'm now pushing a program. I mean, just before lockdown, we were all heading. I was going to go in and start running a lunchtime school session there, a little lunch club thing. And then hopefully that would feed our juniors into our Sunday session. And then hopefully we can feed them, you know, into our league.
Yeah, Brett, you need to spread your wings, get into all the schools around Haywards Heath, Burgess Hill area, get yourself in there coaching. Well, a bit like what I'm doing, build up your coaching job and go from there.
You know, but now with Crawley Community Table Tennis Club now, I came into that last year, and they were quite in a disarray. You know, it wasn't very well organised as a club. But now since then, just before lockdown, now me and Amila, we built up a junior session that we had at St Wilfrid's School in Crawley.
On a Tuesday?
Yes, on a Tuesday afternoon. It's an after-school club, and that grew from about 15 kids to, we were hitting peak of around 35 to 40 juniors.
How many tables you got in there?
We had a total of 10 tables on that Tuesday session, and it was really, really busy. Myself and Amila, we had to pull in extra help from the parents and supporters to help, you know, with the coaching, you know, to keep the kids, you know, feeding the balls and stuff. And that was going really, really successful. And we've implemented a player passport program. So it's a bit like the butterfly skills program. You know,
am I right in saying that at the moment there's nothing going on at all in Crawley Community Table Tennis Club?
At the moment, right present now, we have 0 sessions between both our venues at Holy Trinity School and St Wilfrid's School.
Because the venues are not available at this time.
Not at the moment, no. But starting on the 12th of November, I believe that we are going to reopen our St Wilfrid's Junior session on a Tuesday.
That's good.
Yeah, and we're looking at limiting it to about 15 juniors to start off with, and then we're working well with the school, St Wilfrid's School. The relationship we have with them is really amazing, and they're really, you know, they're superb all round working with, you know, clubs like such as ourselves. You know, and especially in all this guidance stuff. So it's really good. So they're doing everything they can to, hopefully we can get it reopened and get it restarted. And with our other main club venue, which is where all our adults and we do have our juniors come as well, which is mainly held on a Thursday evening. And we had a session running on a Tuesday evening as well at the club. That school they've taken a completely different view to what Holy Trinity has, St Wilfrid's has. Holy Trinity, they're under the assumption that all indoor sports, you're allowed a maximum of 6 people in the entire hall.
That's not correct. You can just tell that's not correct. Just tell them.
Yeah, under 18s can be in a bubble of 15.
We've told them. We sent them all our risk assessments done. You know, the TTE guidance stuff as well. Even the Sport England guidance stuff as well, and UK coaching. You know, all of those documents, we have shown them and said, look, you know, as long as if we're following these guidelines, you know, in a strict way, as long as if this is in place, we have this in place, and all this and the others in place, we can have like multiple bubbles in a multi-purpose venue, which is what you are. But they're still that they're having like none of it is
yeah,
we are,
I guess lots of schools are well, quite scared with all of this restarting extracurricular stuff.
So with the Crawley Community Club, you've got the Tuesday session, you've got the Thursday session, and you got the other Tuesday session. So there's 2 sessions on Tuesday, one for juniors, one for adults. But there are, Amila does do some school clubs as well, doesn't he? Do you know what school clubs he does?
No, not that I'm aware of. Our head coach at Crawley Community, Amila, he was doing a lot of one-to-one sessions.
Right.
And
so he doesn't go into any school after-school clubs or whatever.
No,
he used to.
The only one, he used to, but the only one in the past, you know, year and a half or so is St Wilfrid's in Crawley, where we've built it up.
Why did he stop? I'm interested to know why he stopped doing the school club sessions.
Not entirely sure. Yeah, I just don't know.
But he does a lot of one-to-one every day.
Yeah, pretty much every single day. I mean, even now, well, even right now, he's currently at the Dolphin Leisure Centre running some one-on-one sessions.
Yeah, that's completely different to me. And I think a lot of coaches, full-time coaches, do seem to be doing a lot of one-to-one. But I've never had any demand for one-to-one. I do 2, 3, 4 hours one-to-one a week maximum. I've never had a lot of one-to-one. It's not because I'm turning it away. I normally, the bulk of my sessions are in schools. And maybe it's because I don't put myself out there advertising it so much, but I've never done a lot of one-to-one.
Well, I mean, I find it different as well. I mean, I'm getting a lot of, I mean, even now, well, this past 3-4 weeks, I've picked up now. I'm getting, well, mostly all my coaching right now is one-to-one sessions. Apart from on a Sunday evening, where I'm at Warden Park, and that's a junior session, and then I run a small adult session.
So how do you get, if Familla's not going into schools and stuff, how do you get new players for your club, for your junior?
For our junior session on a Tuesday, when I first came on board, I looked at all the marketing that was going out, and there wasn't too much of it apart from the odd flyer. I don't have any flyers. You know, apart from the odd flyer that was this, that, and about, and even then that wasn't really, you know, it's as nice as it could have been. So the first thing I did was push out to everywhere, and then I works with St Wilfrid's School, their main head of sports department, and he then we pushed it into all their classes. So I mean, we get a lot of pupils from the school itself now coming to that Tuesday, you know, after session. That's why, I mean, even just before lockdown, we were still having, you know, juniors walk through the doors joining in on the session. I mean, we were hitting literally maximum capacity, as much as we could handle.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I told you all the school sessions that I go into, but most of them are actually in Crawley. I've got 2 that are near Horsham, Slinfold and Farlington. The rest are all Crawley way. And I know that I did give out some flyers for Crawley Community Club, but I'm not sure if anybody actually went along. I find it difficult to get players to come from the school to the club. Like I said, I mean, I'm also doing the wheeled session in Billingshurst. That's close to Horsham. That's actually the one where I get most of my players to come along as secondary school. The other schools, I mean, Slinfold will get some coming along, but Farlington is a girls' school, although they're going to be taking boys in. I've not had anybody from there coming to my club, even though it's very close to it. And like I said, from Crawley, I don't think anybody has. One has recently started coming to my club, even though it's in Horsham and he's in Crawley. But getting new players in can be tricky, but I guess it's we all have different ways of doing it. I know it's not. It's a slightly off topic, but prices. Just a quick kind of rundown of what we charge for our sessions. I mentioned earlier that it's £3. I charge £3 for my school clubs for basically an hour, and they pay in advance for the term, so they pay for 12 sessions up front or whatever it is. My group coaching sessions at the club, they're £8 for 2 hours. They're all 2-hour sessions. And again, they pay for that at the beginning of term for whatever it is, 12 weeks or whatever. And there's a club membership fee of £25, which is just a one-off fee per year, which is in addition to the coaching fees. So that's my charge, is what I would charge. Pedro, what are your kind of charges for your sessions?
Yeah, so ours vary a little bit. Well, if people have concession or not. Obviously, people in benefits or homeless, or depending where they're from and what their condition, they either pay a concessionary price, that is £2 for a 2-hour session, or for free. Obviously, like I mentioned, we're in a very fortunate position that we have a full-time venue. So and we have a lease with a church. So we made
you're still paying. You're renting the venue. You don't own the venue, right?
Yeah. But quite an affordable rent for the place that it is. Okay. A normal session it costs only £5. £5 for 2 hours. Yeah. And we also have membership. So the membership before used to work, let me think. So I think it was £30 a month would allow you to have at least 3 weekly sessions and unlimited weekend sessions. And £40 per month would be 4 weekly sessions and unlimited weekend sessions. Now, this was before lockdown. Obviously, now we had to restrict the numbers. We can only have 12 people maximum at the club. So we reduced our membership price for £20 a month, and now gradually we're looking into it, because some people are now being able to do more than once a week, so 2 or 3 times a week, and we're just finding that if they can contribute a little bit more.
So are you saying that some people do pay as you go and some people do pay in advance or pay monthly? Yeah. See, with my sessions, I allow adults can choose to do pay in advance or pay as you go, £8 a session for the 2-hour sessions. Yeah. But the juniors, I don't allow pay as you go, because I need to have a certain amount of, commitment, because if I turn up and there's 1 or 2 kids there, it doesn't even cover the cost of the whole. Yeah. So I need to know, and it's the same with the after school clubs. They've got to pay in advance, so I know that the whole is covered and my
with our after school clubs, like I mentioned before, is the same. So they pay in advance. There's an agreement with the school, with the parents, but well, now we don't, but before lockdown, we would pick them up at the school, bring to the club. So that will be a way of getting players. So rather than running sessions in the school, I mean, that will be some of our outreach, but we also run after school clubs in the club. So the players would have access to the club. They know where it is. They can come then in the weekends or whatever, or when they decide to go through a more performance pathway. And that's usually how it's been working.
And Brett, the costs for your both Haywards Heath Junior session and the St. Wilfrid's Crawley Community session, and the cost, and also, is it pay as you go or pay in advance?
Yeah, so completely different between the two. Crawley Community Table Tennis Club is an annual membership of £120. And you pay that every April. Which worked out really well. But then we did have a pay-as-you-go system as well, where it was charged at £4.50 a session.
How long? 2 hours or
2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours on each session. Yeah, and it was £4.50 pay-as-you-go, or £120. You pay it once a year. You don't have to worry about it then. And the majority of our club members preferred to just pay the annual fee once a year. that's it. You know,
then they just turn up. It's free. It's not free, but they don't pay extra when they turn up.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't turn up, you know,
they don't.
Yeah. And it worked out really well. So but then our junior session on a Crawley, that was charged at £6 pay as you go.
Oh wait, that was the adults you were talking about just now.
That was our adults on a Thursday at Crawley Community.
Oh, I see.
Okay. But then our juniors was, I think it was 130 for the year, which included all terms and throughout the holidays as well, because we continued running that Tuesday session, you know, regardless of what time of year it was.
That's a tricky one. It was lucky that lockdown happened in April then, or in March, April, because people wouldn't have then renewed for the next year. Otherwise, you would have to give refunds and stuff.
Yes, yeah, we would have done, yeah. So there was no refund. It was just a complete stop. That was it. That
was handy. And then how much is your junior session, did you say?
So our junior session, I think it was 130 per year.
And is there a pay-as-you-go option for the juniors as well?
There was a pay-as-you-go option, yes. For newcomers, they would have their first session for free. You know, so if we'd never seen them before, they would have their maybe 1 or 2 weeks completely free of charge. You know, just come in, join in, if you like it. Did you
find many people would turn up for their 1 or 2 free sessions and then you never see them again, or?
No, total opposite. Everyone that came in, you know, for just walking into the session and then staying for those 2 hours, they came the following week, and then they came most Tuesdays, week in, week out.
Yeah, see, I'm always wary of offering something completely for free. So what I might do is give a half price session, or if they pay for, say they pay for 3 sessions and they pay for 3 sessions in the first. They get 3 free or something.
That's what we do in Brighton. The first session as well is a concessionary rate for everyone. So
I'm just wary of people if something is free and they're not paying anything at all, they might just come along and think, oh well, I'll try this out, and then that's it, you know.
Yeah, but that's how you gather more players as well. The thing is, if you give it for free, they will turn up, obviously. And if they enjoy the session, if they feel welcome, if they feel appreciated, and they enjoy what's being done, you know, you have a client there. You always gonna have a member, and I think that's what really clubs should focus in trying to get new members that way. Not worry so much if they're ever gonna turn up or not. I mean, it's another topic that I have is the retention of members. And sometimes you start not seeing them for a while, but you're not sure. Maybe there's a family member passed away, or they go through a rough period, and you know, by getting in touch with them, making sure that, okay, I haven't seen you for a month or so. Is everything all right? Are you still in Brighton? Do you want to come to the club and play? Blah blah blah. You know, we work a lot like this, so we try to keep track of all of our members, and if we don't see them for a while, get in touch with them and see if everything is all right.
Carry on, Brett. Are you finished? You were going to say about Haywards Heath, weren't you?
Yeah, so Haywards Heath has always just been a flat fee charge. The league, well, the club league kind of runs itself. Is they just charge £3.50, whoever you are, and then they have a junior rate which is £2, and that's it. You know,
there's no pay in advance option. It's only pay as you go.
You can pay in advance, yeah. I believe that, you know, our treasurer will sort something out with you where you can just pay a lump sum. You know, is
it cheaper if you pay in advance?
That's the same price. Regardless if you pay it all in one go or pay as you go. No, there's no benefit, you know, paying it in one lot, apart from if you pay it in one lot, you haven't got to worry about it, or pay as you go.
What if they pay for 10 weeks and they don't come for those 10 weeks, or they come for 5 of those weeks? Do they carry on to the next 5? Do they still have 5 weeks in the bank, or have they lost those 5 weeks?
No, it's the way our treasurer works it out is it gets banked. So even if you say you pay for 10 weeks, but you miss, say, 5 weeks of it, when you return, you've still got those 5 weeks there. Right. It's the same with our adults as well. If you say you pay for 2 months up front, you're £3.50. Even if you miss, 1 month for that, you've still got 1 month in the bank.
Well, you've obviously got enough juniors coming along, because that system wouldn't work for me, because I've only got a small club with 4 tables. I know you've got a lot more. For me, if people didn't turn up, like if 2 or 3 people don't turn up, it makes a big difference. Whereas it probably doesn't. But
the thing is with Haywards Heath as a club, on our club sessions, is we also run the league as well and host a league every Wednesday. So the league supports our other sessions that we run. So it doesn't matter too much, if we're running at a loss like we are now at the moment because of our, maximum capacity to these sessions. We're just going to cover them and so be it. So it's fine.
I know. Obviously, Mark Berman, your main coach at Haywards Heath, gets paid, but are the rest of them volunteers, or they also get paid?
Yes. Well, our main head coach, he's also a school teacher, is Dennis Hayden.
Isn't Mark Berman your main head coach?
No, Dennis Hayden is his head coach.
Okay, and he gets paid as well then, does he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the moment, though, no, he's not. At the moment, he's not taking anything because he just wants to get the kids playing again. And that's his main concern, and that's all he wants.
Are you volunteering, or you're also being paid?
Well, so before lockdown, yes, I was helping out with the juniors every Sunday, and in return, all my sessions, I didn't have to pay.
Right.
For my Sunday, the rest of Sunday evening, because there was still, the junior session on the Sunday would only run for like an hour or so. So I would still have those extra 2 hours or whatever, to play myself. And so I in exchange for me helping out, with the junior session, I don't pay for my.
That was a bit like how I got into coaching. I mentioned it on another show. Basically, I joined a club. There were some good juniors. I wanted to practice with them. The coach said to me, "You can practice with these juniors in my session as long as you help out with some of the beginner ones as well." So that's how I got into coaching.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. But then, we were getting to a stage where, well, actually now there was enough juniors at Haywards Heath where we could warrant a third coach and take on, another group, because Dennis would have one group, Mark would have another group, and I could take on another group myself, and then I would then be paid for, running that group. But then lockdown happened, so we're back to square one.
So we better move on. I know we've spent a long time on that question, but it's probably the biggest question that we have today. So we're going to be on to the second question, which is about funding available for clubs and what kind of pots of funding different clubs can apply for. So I'll start off with what Horsham Spinners has applied for and received. And I've always been someone who's tried to be self-sufficient. So I started Horsham Spinners Table Tennis Club in 2011. And it wasn't until this time last year that I actually applied for some funding. Previously, everything I'd done was self-funding. Before that, when I was working for Horsham Table Tennis Club, Ian Ford, the sports development officer, had secured numerous funding pots to set up my initial coaching job. I'm not sure of the details, but he would have got some from the council, some from maybe Sport England, some from Table England. I'm not sure. But what I can talk about is what I've done in the last year. So there was a BETT funding, which is about building better experiences. And there was funding available for a club session, for a new club session. And you had, I think, 3 choices. I chose to do it for under 11s. And I've been running that at my club. It's a free session for under 11s. It started off in Slinfold Village Hall back in September, of 2019, ran up to lockdown. Obviously had to stop then. We've picked it up again in September 2020. It's still going, and it runs into, I think the funding runs out in November sometime after half term. And that was, I just applied for that. I think it was something like £850 I got. But I also applied at the same time for satellite club funding, which is generally an outreach session, a session that's not in your club. That was for age group 11 to 19, I believe. It was around the same amount of money, but 700. One of them was 750, I think one was 850. I can't remember which was which. So what happened, I started off a session in a school, an autistic school, because that's what I chose to apply. I chose to do it for an autistic school, which was in a school very near the club, actually. So I did 6 weeks of that before lockdown, and then there were some issues, and lockdown happened, and that session couldn't continue. I was trying to find other schools in the area which were also, SEN schools. They didn't have space for tables to be stored, so that didn't work out. And now I'm looking at using that funding to set up the rest, because we did 6 weeks and it was 30 weeks, I think, that it was funded for. So I'm looking to use the rest of that funding to set up a new girls only session, which I haven't had at Horsham Spinners Table Tennis Club. We did used to have one at Horsham Table Tennis Club many years ago when I was coaching there. I haven't done anything about that yet because I'm waiting for really the Sinfold School to allow us to start booking there again. I think at the moment starting a new session is not going to be feasible. So they're the two main funding pots that I applied for. It was the BeTT and the Satellite Club funding. I think the Satellite Club funding is no more. The BeTT, they had a second round, or it could have been a third round, actually. I'm not sure where they were at. And then the other session I've done, I mentioned it earlier, it's not actually funded by Table Tennis England, but it's a Table Tennis England scheme called TT Kids for under 7 to 11-year-olds. Now, normally you're supposed to pay something like £350 for this kit bag, which has like 20 bats, you've got cones, you've got strips, you've got plastic cups for targets, all branded TT Kids on them, a big box of balls, and a big bag to put it all into. And then, they basically, I wouldn't have been able to do it only for the fact that they gave me all that for free. It was the second round of Table Tennis Kids, or TT Kids. So they were obviously trying to encourage it. But they also gave out a whole load of flyers, banners, stretchy banner that stands up on a rod, and a load of promotional material, which was really good. So I got that set up. We had 7 kids. We did 2 weeks before lockdown. Lockdown happened. I did try and keep in touch with the kids. They did table tennis. They did a TT Kids after school club online on Zoom, and I was doing some of my own Zoom sessions with a lot of these players from the BeTT and the TT Kids sessions, try and keep them engaged over lockdown. I was doing Zoom sessions with all our players, in fact, with the 13 to 14 age group, with the older junior age group, with the seniors from the club. Kept that going throughout lockdown, trying to get them engaged, playing at home, bat and ball skills, etc. Anyway, come back to October 2020, September actually, I said we'd start the session back up again. Out of the 7 kids that initially had done it, only 3 of them are continuing. But with a bit of luck, I managed to get back up to 8 with 5 new kids. Some were siblings and friends of, and managed to get it back up to even higher than it was before. And in fact, the BeTT session before lockdown was hit and miss. Sometimes you get 4 or 5, sometimes you get 9 or 10. It was like there was no commitment. But when I restarted it in September, I said to everybody, I need some commitment. I need you to be coming every week, or at least trying to, to be committed to the session. Otherwise, I'll offer the space to somebody else. And believe it or not, I actually have 11 players regularly committed to coming every week. Obviously, occasionally there's the odd person missing. And I've got 2 young helpers that helped me with that session. They did the TT Kids Activator course, and they're doing both the BeTT and the TT Kids session because it's like 1 hour after the other. One of them's, they're both doing it, I think, for D of E, Duke of Edinburgh Award. Mm-hmm. And they're also getting involved with the Young Ambassadors scheme, which is when they do 10 hours of volunteering, they get back their £37 for the TT Kids Activator course they paid, or they could also use it towards going for a level 1 coaching qualification if they decided to. Then if they do another 20 hours, they get a t-shirt, and I think it's another 30 hours, they get a fleece, I think it is. But yeah, and so that session has been really good as well. It's good to get kids involved. And after the end of the 8 weeks of that, which is just a week before the 9 weeks of the BeTT session finishes, what I'm planning to do to continue opportunities for this age group is to continue that session 4:30 to 6:30 on the same day, to try and keep those players involved. And I will try and subsidize that session so it's not the same full price as the Monday and Friday sessions, just to get engagement and continuation with that age group of players. So yeah, that's my kind of what funding I've applied for, and more recently, and not so much. But I know Brighton Table Tennis Club has done a lot more with their funding. So Pedro, would you like to go through some of the funding streams you've used for Brighton?
Yeah, obviously our funding depending on the projects that we have, and there was quite an interesting question when me and Teresa did the webinar with Table Tennis England, was if we build the project according the funding that was available, or if it was the other way around. We actually, I mean, you all know Tim is the brain behind, is the motor behind all of this in Brighton, and he's very integrate, and his social values are really off the chart. So he does think about the project, which people does he want to reach and how, and then we will look for the funding that could be applied to that. Now, it's very difficult to have one specific funding sometimes to build a project. So what you need sometimes is to create a referral network. So having more participants, more organizations with the same ethos, with the same goal, like I mentioned before, and through a partnership. If you apply as a partnership, you have you're more likely to get that funding. Obviously, if it's big grants, everything needs to be monitored. You need to present results, and everything. It can't be done, by writing on paper. So we have Upshot. We use it for our registers. So every member from the club needs to be inserted in that register, and we have our sessions there, so we can see, if we need to make a report, how many disabled people played the last year. We can get that. How many refugees played? We can get that. Their background information, and so on. Obviously, this only shared with the funders. Now, everything started a little bit when the UK was still in the EU. So we had a grant from Multisports for learning disabilities. I think that was the first big grant, and together with Sweden, Germany, and England, actually. So through an exchange, a cultural exchange in sports between clubs. And through that, we got our first national funding through Sports England, the Table Tennis for All. So it was a multi-sport project, and that's how it started our learning disability session. Through the Outlook Foundation, to the Grace Air Foundation, that supports independent living for learning disabled. And all 8 players from the first session that was in 2013, they're still coming to the club, which is quite amazing. And I mean, 2 of them, very well. So Harry Fairchild and Chris O'Flynn, big superstars.
Andrew.
Andrew came afterwards. So Andrew came. He found out the club through a family T21 network. So he came. Emma Ricci was one of the first ones in the Grey's and a few others. Now, most recently, the type of funding that we get is for things like look after children, so through virtual school. So they support us a lot with our sessions for look after children. We got some funding, a couple of fundings now from Comic Relief. One of them was called Leveling the Field, which is actually the name of the session. So to support women that don't really have access to sports, they have much of a domestic life, difficult to get a job or to get involved with other people. Yeah, right. So as I was mentioning, we had a couple of funding streams from Comic Relief. Now the only one I really know about was from Leveling the Field. So it was funding to help more women access sports, especially women that have a more domestic life and don't have such a big opportunity to do other extracurricular activities. And that one worked really well and is still going now. I mean, I think the funding stream stopped. I'm not too sure. But the players became members and they still come every week. So it's quite a good way of getting new members.
Yeah, it's good to become self-sufficient after an initial investment.
Yeah, and that's what we're working towards. So all the projects that we got funding streams for, we always try to find a way of becoming self-sufficient, and we're actually now in a position. Well, we got some new members in our management team. So an accounts manager, a bookkeeper. So they've been working on keeping our fund streams and our unrestricted funds, well, actually becoming the restricted funds more unrestricted funds. So yeah, so we don't rely so much in funding applications. But obviously is the way to start, and then from there we can carry on the work that we were doing. We're very supported, obviously, by Sports England, and this is only due to the good work that we've been doing so far with the first investments that they did with the club.
Do you know what actual funding streams or pots you applied to for Sport England, or?
I only know the biggest one was for the refugee integration project that obviously is not happening anymore. There was a three-year funding stream. So divided in 3 years, and I mean the club and the community gained a lot with it. We had a lot of refugees and asylum seekers coming through the club. Some of them became coaches. Some of them still volunteer in the club. Others managed to integrate in the community, in the society, and are working now full-time jobs. And is really great. Is really great to see.
And what was the kind of implications of your club becoming the first club of sanctuary in Britain? I think that's correct.
Yeah. So that I think was one of the, probably at the time was the best thing that happened to the club. So that would mean that our club would be seen as a safe place that would welcome refugees and asylum seekers. So it will be a place that they could be referred to, and they would have help, with the English, for example, with the schoolwork, with even sometimes with documentation, so it'll be a place that they would know, and their support workers would know that they could come and they would get some help, a little bit like Voices in Exile. No, I think there's another one. So yeah.
Any other funding streams, or is that the ones that you know about?
Well, Active Sussex is another one, of course. We also have a lot of support from, especially during the lockdown. We were doing the online lots of online sessions. The Daily Show that became quite quite popular. Yeah. Brad came to a couple. So it was not only about table tennis; it was kind of introducing all sorts of skills from everyone.
So did you get funding from Sussex then?
We started without any funding. We started that in a volunteer basis. So everybody from the club just decided to, okay, let's get in touch with people, let's create this, and then it just kind of started to becoming quite big. And Active Sussex actually helped more towards, I think, was the outdoor table tennis. So to help paid coaches, well, some time. Paid to do that work, and obviously some of the fitness sessions with the kids, the table tennis with the kids, lots of trick shots and bat and ball skills, things like that.
Did you apply for the PPE funding recently?
No idea.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not very much inside the funding streams of the club, so we have a couple other people that that's their job, that's what they do. I mean, we didn't have this in the at the start, so only the last 3 years or so. Well,
I haven't had to pay very much for my PPE. I mean, the village hall provides all the sanitizers and everything, and so we've been quite lucky.
I do think we might have got some funding for that, but I don't want to lie. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. Or we might have started having in the beginning, but now we just grab ourselves.
Just when we're on funding, just quickly to mention other streams of funding which I haven't applied for, but just so people know, there is, or at least there was, funding available from Table Tennis England to pay for PPE, personal protective equipment, like sanitizers, face masks, table disinfectant, that kind of stuff. There was also Sport England funding to pay for stuff like rent of Hull, even during the lockdown when buildings still needed to be paid for but weren't being used. Stuff like subsidizing them when they reopened because they had less players, all that kind of stuff. So, Brandon, do you want to just give your bit of bits and pieces on this before we move on to Brett?
The one thing I can probably say is during lockdown, the Brighton Table Club started a food bank actually at the end of March. At the start of March, we was only doing deliveries only. And this is due to the COVID rules and this and that. Our timetable, we were every day. We was different parts of Brighton, and then as time went on, when things eased down, we started doing collections as well. So this is to sort of help people get out of their houses, to get people exercising and reduce our deliveries. And over time, we gradually we got a lot more popular. We were getting roughly at the start around 50 people a week.
So these weren't just table tennis players, presumably they were random people, were they?
So originally at the start, these were people who were referred from the Brighton Hove Council, who were kind of in the
During lockdown, obviously the club was closed, so we started a food bank because obviously it was needed at the time. Like Brendan was mentioning, there was lots of referrals, so became quite busy.
Now, presumably you included a little cheeky Brighton Table Tennis Club flyer in with the food as well, did you?
Absolutely. So we gave. Actually, we have to thank Table Tennis England, if I'm not mistaken, that they sent some table tennis kits for people to play at home. So we would send that with the parcels for the people that we knew that had kids. And then gradually obviously we would invite them once the club would reopen, and now we have an all-comers session that is specifically for people that were coming to the food hub.
You got enough people coming along?
Yeah, there's a bit mixed. So it's not only people from the food hub, but mainly, yeah, some of those referrals. So again, yeah, it linked quite well both ends, and the food bank is still up and running. Obviously, had to change place. It's still right next to the club, and now just 2 days a week. But it is really busy. Still very, very busy. Every time I pass there, it's huge queues, which is not very good news. Obviously, having lots of people struggling.
Yeah. At least they've got that option available.
Yeah. And it's run just by volunteers. And even when we were working there, with everything on a volunteer basis. So the support we got those bats from Table Tennis England that I mentioned.
One question about lockdown. Did you still get paid during lockdown, or were you on the government, being paid by the government, or what was the story?
Yeah, we were furloughed.
Yeah, by the government.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people that were with the 0-hour contracts, like Brandon himself, they were not getting paid. So that's why we were quite happy that we managed to get some funding during the lockdown period, so we could pay people like Brandon at least a little bit for what he was doing online.
Yeah. So I was on the self-employed government scheme, so it was 80% of your regular earnings for the first 3 months, and then 70% for the next 3 months. So that's stopped now, as far as I'm aware. So I'm looking at maybe doing some teaching assistant work, to be continued. Brett, I know you've applied for and received funding from Active Sussex. Would you like to tell us a bit about how you applied? What was their kind of reason? How did you get the funding? What was the way you applied for it? How much did you get? What was it towards?
Yeah, so with Active Sussex, this is for our Crawley Community Table Tennis Club. And it's all designed for our kids. Because at the time we were really, picking up pace. Word was spreading that this junior session that happens at St Wilfrid's, everyone was coming along. So just prior to that session being set up, the current committee at the time put out word for funding, so we can really, get it going, get some nice tables in there. The equipment that we need, and the cost of the hall as well, because the hall hire at the school is quite expensive, but it is a very, very nice, venue. It's an incredible venue. So we get £500 per year from Active Sussex, and that is designed purely to just, for our junior session on a Tuesday.
And is there like an application form to fill in to get the funding, or you send them an email, or call them?
There's an application process. You have to approach Active Sussex themselves, and then you have to go through the whole application process where they will look at you, your club, your structure, and then you also need to get a few referrals from outside of your club, just to pretty much, you are who you say you are. You do these things that you say.
For those of you that don't know what Active Sussex means, it's the County Sports Partnership. It used to be called Sussex Sports Partnership, I think, but they've changed it to Active Sussex now. Yeah. So there should be one of those in every county.
So we get that for Crawley Community, which is really good. It's amazing help. And then for Haywards Heath League, the only support that we get is from the County Association, Sussex County Table Tennis Association. We put in an application in for some funding to help us with our venue lighting in that school hall, even though it should be down to the school, but the school at Warden Park Academy are very much, they've got a very, very tight budget these days, and their budget has to go priority to other aspects of the school, rather than, a sports hall that they use for PE and that, which is fine for them. But for, our use and our sport, the conditions wasn't great.
So Brett, with the lighting, did you get brand new lighting put in, or just replace the bulbs, or what did you do?
No, it's completely brand new lighting in there now. From what it was before, all the old lights got completely taken out across their 3 sports halls that they have there, and brand new lighting was replaced with, fancy timers and certain powering of the lights now. It's all economic use.
We all know about the timing issue because it went off at 10 o'clock the first week of the league.
Yeah, that's we've remedied that. But yeah, all this timing and stuff. But yeah, it's So now the school, we piled in £2,000 towards the school, even though we're a paying customer of theirs. We shouldn't really have to do that. But
so wait, the county paid £2,000, was it?
Yeah, so the Sussex County Table Tennis Association, they supported our league with our venue. They gave us a grant of £2,000, which we
and then the league put another £2,000 in, so it was £4,000 in total. Is that right?
Yeah, in towards the school. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the costing of the entire lighting, I think, was in the regions of about 35,000.
I see. Yeah. So the school did pay the majority of it.
Oh yes, yeah. The school paid them, a huge chunk of it.
Oh, I see. I thought it was entirely paid by the club and the county, so the school did pay most of it then.
Oh yeah. We
no,
paid
lighting
a very,
like
very
that
small
wouldn't
amount.
be only 4,000.
Yeah, it's about 35,000, I think. The total costings, but that's across 3 halls. And that's really good.
Oh, you did more than what? That wasn't just the main hall. You did the wooden hall as well.
Yes, and the dance hall at the bottom as well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
you used all 3 of those at some point. Those 3 venues.
We use 2 of those venues. Right. We haven't used the bottom dance hall as of yet, but we are working with the school. Seeing how this lockdown goes, we may have actually move into a after school session or a solely only like junior session only.
Okay, well, we better move on. Time is running out. We're going to our third and final topic, which is how to get minority groups into your club sessions, how to cater for various different groups. So it could be ethnic minorities, women and girls, disability groups, anything, refugees. So I'll start again. In my case, I've not done a lot at all on these groups. I have been very much just whoever turns up to the club is welcome. People have over the years turned up to my sessions with disabilities, obviously from ethnic minorities, some girls, but I've never had huge numbers. As I say, I've never really gone out of my way to target these minority groups. Back in the days when I was in Horsham Table Tennis Club, we're talking about 2006 to 2011, there was a girls only session, which I was involved with, along with a female coach called Sally Weston. She's no longer involved. She was a top player in the county and also in England. And as I said earlier, I mentioned I have funding, which the satellite club funding, which I used, it was for autistic kids in a school, which I did 6 weeks for, but I'm going to use the remainder of that funding probably for a girls only session. I haven't advertised it yet. My initial thoughts are, because with the satellite club funding, I wasn't paying for the venue, it was just in a school, and now I'll have to pay for the venue. And rather than making it entirely free for the girls session, I'm thinking about just charging like £1 a session, advertising it for 10 weeks. They pay £10, something like that for like a 2-hour or a 1-hour session. I haven't fully finalized the details. I'm still thinking about it. Also, if they've paid something towards it, it might show a bit more commitment rather than just signing up. And if it's free, they might not be committed. But yeah, that's all still in the pipeline. So Pedro, would you like to talk about how you? Cause I know you've probably the best club in the country for getting minority groups involved.
Amazing.
I think. So do you want to talk about that? I know we've discussed some of it in other topics, but we can go through it.
Yeah. So I mean, I can start a little bit. Yeah, and thanks Rory. Yeah, I think we're we're quite successful in what we do, especially retaining players as well. So it's nice to know that everyone that comes to the club feels comfortable. I mean, the mainly thing we hear from everybody is as soon as they enter, they feel very, very welcome. So regardless where they are, so usually the first questions are, you know, where are you from? Do you work? Do you do this? Do you that? And sometimes people are not very comfortable in talking about those things. So rather than that is, look, what's your name? Hello, my name is something. Here's a bat. You go there and play. And then through some table tennis, you know, when they're more comfortable, if they want to, they start opening up with you, you know, rather than being us putting them in that uncomfortable position. But yeah, I mentioned before with the prisons. So we had a couple of prisoners that during their parole they came to volunteer in the club, and apart from that, we already have had a few others that obviously were released, and they turn up to the club to come and play and say hello. So when those kind of things happen, you do feel that you're doing a good job. You know, that you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. You're actually changing lives, which I find that is one of the reasons that makes me stay in this club. In terms of refugees, we also touched the subject. You know, I have to say, in the beginning, it was quite difficult. We were a little bit new in all of this, but we managed to get some funding from Sports England. Some of that funding was towards getting another coach that would just liaise, getting the referrals from refugees, starting sessions with them. We started a Ping English activity, so teaching English through table tennis. So Sophie, she was an English teacher. She really liked table tennis. She knew the basics of table tennis. She had a level 1 coaching course, and she really boosted a little bit this project. So we start having quite a few refugees and asylum seekers coming to the club. In the meantime, some of them started playing Brighton League. Some decided to help in sessions, you know, and you would talk a little bit with them, see what I think is quite important is to find what the motivations of the players are. You know, even being from the same group, everybody wants a different thing. So I think it's quite important that by talking to them, you really figure out what they want to do. If it's and I think most people that you know, someone comes to a table tennis club or to a sports club, automatically they think about, okay, performance, let's go. But some people don't want to put in that kind of pressure. Some people just really want to make friends, or just want to try to be the best they can without any pressure. You know, you can't do a backhand topspin. That's fine. You know, we do other things as long as they're having fun and they're enjoying. So I think that's one of the big things of our club, is that we don't put that kind of pressure into players. We did find that we did at some point. Obviously, you see other clubs and their performance evolving, and you do want to become a little bit like them. But you know, hang on a minute. There's so many clubs doing that. There's not many others doing what we do. That is actually changing most people's lives. Not by becoming a world champion, you know, but by actually helping them to get a job, helping them to make friends, helping them to build their confidence. Sometimes I think that's a lot more important than getting a few medals. But anyway, a little bit off topic, sorry there. In girls, women, now this one is an interesting one, because like any other clubs, we also struggled a little bit to get more girls and women, and now it's picking up a lot, and that we found out that is having to do with having a more female presence in the sessions. So a session run by a woman or a girl rather than a man. You know, the man, it can be a male figure there, you know, helping and so on. But
You've now got Teresa Bennett as one of you. Is she working full time at the club?
She's working full time. I mean, she started to obviously coming to our back academy. So developing a little bit the academy where we have Owen, Cricket, Jody, and so on. But also, well, gradually she's starting doing sessions at the club. One of them is our women-only session that Sophie, so that coach that came for the refugee integration project, she started working for the club after that, and then she had to leave. But in the meantime, she was building up that women's session, and just because it was a women coach, the numbers were really coming up. And then she stopped. I think we had someone else, I can't remember, Wenway, and I mean, Wenway is great. Everybody loves Wenway, but still it's not the same, you know.
So Pedro, what would you think about this? If I were to try and get a junior girl or a young woman who to help me with the sessions, maybe.
Yeah, you were talking about that project, and I was thinking exactly that. I mean, I would get someone on a volunteer basis, or even if you pay a little bit, if you can. I mean, it doesn't really need to have great skills, but it's having making that bond, making them thrive in that kind of environment. You know, it's very difficult to thrive in an environment that is fully male dominating, you know. So now we have an after school club that it's only girls, and it's been working really well. I mean, I coach in that session, Owen as well, but the main coach again is Teresa. And obviously she's great with children. She was a school teacher. And our women session. So when Wenway was running, the numbers start dropping a little bit. And I mean, Wenway is a great man. Everybody loves him. So we couldn't find out the reason why. And then Teresa came, and the numbers are back into 30 people. You know, we had to divide the session in 2 bits so we could correspond to the demand.
So do you have, is it a female session, or is it just adults, or just girls, or they'll mix in together?
That's a good question. Is the women's session? No, it's mainly only adults.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if girls can come. I'm sure they would be able to come if they want.
There has been a couple of girls over time that have joined.
It's just because the session is quite late. It's 6 to 8 in the evening on Tuesdays. So so it's mainly women, but girls can come. Now the after school club we have on Wednesday.
Is that self-funding, or you got funding for that?
No, self-funded. This is all self-funded. We didn't get any funding to develop the girls and women.
And what about the prisoners? Was that how was that funded? The prisoner sessions.
Hey, again, that's a good question. We start going there on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
So Tim made links with the prisons. It was quite difficult in the beginning. We had lots of rejections from quite a few prisons, and then you need to know the right person. That's the thing. And he met this guy Keith that was a personal trainer in High Downs prison. He was really keen to reintegrate the prisoners. I mean, he's a really great man as well.
Where is that? Where's High Downs prison?
It's in Crawley.
In Crawley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have High Downs, that is the male prison, and Downview, that is the women prison.
So you tried Lewis? Did you presumably you tried Lewis?
Yeah, and we were meant to start with them, and lockdown happened.
Okay, so that's still on the cards at some point.
Yeah. I mean, this prison project is still going to go ahead once we're allowed to. Yeah.
And so, do you have specific sessions for minority groups or refugees or asylum seekers or whatever, or does this integrate with the normal regular sessions? No,
the point of all of it is to integrate them. So.
But have you targeted? Have you had a specific goal of targeting minority ethnic groups, or have they just turned up and you've just integrated them?
Well, because it was one of the projects, we were targeting the minority groups, and I mean, some of our sessions
there was funding for that initially, was there?
Yeah. There's some. There was some funding for it. Yeah. But again, we don't want to segregate, because I mean it's already segregated enough.
That makes sense.
To integrate them. So let's say in our Saturday under 16 session, it's an open session, but we make sure that at least 6 or 7 of them are those who look after children that should be there playing and mingle, socializing with other kids, and so they would have a little bit. They would have a little bit the priority in entering the session. But Nick Creel is another member of our staff, and he's an ex-teacher as well, ex-head teacher actually. So he has a lot of good connections with schools, with social workers, so again, all of that referral network that is quite needed to start these projects, and then it's just creating a pathway. So in our junior sessions, we already have a few that are look after children or have some kind of disability, or we just really don't mention it because there's no point, they're exactly like the others that are playing there. So,
and obviously you've got your disability squad, your Down syndrome players. Is it T23?
T21. Yeah.
T21. Sorry.
Yeah.
Santos.
And is that is that a specific session just for those players, or what?
No. So we call it Elite Disability Session. So we have others integrating. Daniel Thompson was there before, but now it changed to the morning, so obviously you can't do it because of school. We have Emma Ricci, and then I was trying to get another player that has a learning disability. I'm not sure if he's autistic, but Robert English, but he hasn't come yet. But it is not only for the T21. No, they're integrated with the others. Yeah.
And do these players also sometimes, I presume Harry does, integrate with the regular sessions as well?
Absolutely, even coaches. Yeah. And I mean, and they love coaching. They love feeling useful. And we provide that for them. So that they're really great with the kids. I mean, Andrew's multi-ball feeding is quite impressive. And you teach them those skills, and they become really, really good assets for your team.
And we mentioned the care homes earlier. Was that funded, or presumably that was funded? Was it?
For I think part of the time was funded. I don't know who by. So Pedro may know that. Unfortunately not. But it was partly funded. But after some time, the session wasn't funded. But thankfully, we found the club found ways, and so we can continue it.
And these sessions are really just for well-being of the people involved. They're never going to come down the club and play in the club session, presumably. I wouldn't have thought.
For the dementia lot, it could have been. If we had tried, but I think how it went and just how well it was going anyway, just doing that at home, I think no.
Yeah. I think,
so just a quick rundown of all the kind of minority groups you cater for, and correct me if I'm wrong, or add in anything else that I've missed out. So you've got the prisoners, you've got kind of the refugees, asylum seekers, not a specific session, but they integrate. You've got the Down syndrome or T21.
21, yeah.
You got your
so we have 20 chromosomes, they have one extra. That's why it's 21. Yeah.
Okay. The women and girls sessions, and you've got a girls after school club as well. You mentioned looked after children. Maybe just quick explanation of what that means.
So it is children that live with a carer. that are with a carer. Yeah.
Like fostering or
Foster,
not?
yeah, exactly, with foster parents, precisely. There's no specific session just for them. They're integrated with all the other under 11s, under 13s, under 16s, junior sessions, you know, depending on their age, depending on the level, depending what they want to reach. Yeah.
And you've got 50 plus sessions. I know they're not a minority group, but have you got 50 plus sessions as well?
Yeah, we have three every week at the club, and now 2 more at Stanford Avenue, so that's 5, and we might have a couple more then when we have the access to the Holt Methodist Church. Yeah.
Right. And have I missed anything, or is that sums it up more or less?
Sums it up. We also have the pupil referral unit. That we had the travelers before.
That means for us, I'm not quite sure.
So pupil referral unit is children that are in risk of being kicked out from schools.
Right.
So they have this referral unit, so they can do other activities, basically to keep them busy.
Okay, Brandon, have you got anything quick to add before we wrap the show up?
I think another one also to say, Pedro, is where, you know, we had the clock tower sanctuary. So the young people are homeless, so from age 16 to 25 years old who were homeless. I was going there for an hour, just to be playing with them, you know, just keeping them, you know, happy, motivated, and to encourage them to get people. To also encourage them to come to the club, of course, free of charge, due to their situation. We have a guy who was actually originally from the Clock Tower Sanctuary, who over time was in Gordon Ramsay's course in France or something. He was, and during lockdown, he's been making hot meals for our food bank. Maybe Pedro, you can tell me.
Yeah, and he's working now. He's working now in a restaurant in Brighton. Finally got a job. Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice, and not to mention as well the psychiatric hospital, obviously the Millview Psychiatric Hospital, and from there we had quite a few people that were in the hospital that then they came to the club and play. So that's
covers
nice.
all aspects of all people, I think.
Yeah.
Brett, I don't think I might be wrong, but I don't think your club specifically cater for any minority groups.
We don't know across all our, you know, all our things. Is we just, you know, if you walk through the door, you know, we give off that warm, welcoming feeling, but we don't specifically, you know, target anything.
Great. Well, I think it's been probably one of our longer shows, so we better wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for your contributions, and we'll see you next time. I'll see Brandon on Wednesday and Brett.